Empowered Conversations is a communication course for carers of people with dementia, and we also run the course for professionals. Over the course we explore communication, so we give people a chance to pause life, which doesn't happen very often. So we really pause life and think about how do we communicate and how do we connect with people with dementia. We use a range of different techniques, so we've got some films, we've got animation, we do some activities. We're going to do a back-to-back exercise now, so I've got you in position and all I want you to do is just have a conversation about what you're going to do this weekend, but in that sort of back-to-back position. So with barriers to communication, you start to look at the stuff that gets in the way of us having the conversations that we want to have with people with dementia, and we get people thinking about what they are.
Did you manage to catch up on things after your big night on Tuesday?
So in this exercise, what we're getting people to do is sit back to back, as you can see, or stand back to back, and we're getting them to just try and have a conversation normally. We've obviously created a barrier to that conversation because they can't see one another. They can't see when those pauses will come in. They can't see any facial expressions. There's absolutely no non-verbal communication coming their way, and we're sort of trying to get them to have a conversation. And as you can see, people start to turn their heads, they start to speak louder to try and overcome these barriers. And quite often that's what we see in life. So think about like Basil Fawlty on holiday, and he doesn't speak the language and he just speaks louder and louder and louder. Well, that can often be what people do, and actually we can't really do that with some of these barriers. What we have to do is identify them as a problem and then take that problem away if we can. I'm going to tell you a little bit about invitation to respond, which is a technique that we use on the Empowered Conversations course. Quite often when we start a conversation, we'll start a conversation with a question, which is okay, and it's what most of us do. But for a person with dementia, that might be the first barrier to them actually joining the conversation. It might leave them sort of feeling anxious. Do they know the answer? Are they going to get enough time to get their answer out? Why are they asking this question? So what we try and do with invitation to respond, rather than ask a question and almost demand some information from somebody, you use invitation to respond. So we give a bit of ourselves. So we might talk about our day or something that's happened to us. We might use a compliment. We might sort of use an observation. Oh, it's a great day out there today. It's lovely. And then leave a space for them to respond to us. So unlike a question where if they don't respond, there's an awkwardness, there's embarrassment. With an invitation to respond, if a person doesn't choose to respond to us, doesn't actually create any embarrassment or awkwardness.
It's just nice to open your door and just be outside in the wild.
Yeah, isn't it?
But you like it round here, don't you? 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
it's
nice
nice
and
round
quiet.
here.
I love being able to see the hills.
Yeah. Well, we can.
I know.
In that clip with Jack and Lillian, I put out an invitation to respond. I just say, I love being able to see the hills. And in that moment, Jack just gives a wonderful response back, and he says, well, we can. His whole body lifts up and he's smiling and he says, well, we can. And it's just a great example of how an invitation to respond can find a different way to connect with people. Alongside the original Empowered Conversations course, we've been developing a musical version. This has been developed by a music therapist, and we've piloted out across Greater Manchester and Bradford and had some fantastic responses from family carers.
Singing is good fun, and singing generates hormones and makes people feel good. So as part of this workshop series, we thought that we could incorporate not only how music underpins conversation, but also what fun it is to sing together in a group.
When talking falters, be patient, leave pauses. Spaces are helpful, whatever the causes. Look for the sense behind words that are said, and when words are hard, then try singing instead. Sing your songs to...
We start the workshop actually by doing a call and response session, which is simply you introduce it by saying, I'm going to call and you're going to respond. And I call a phrase, a musical phrase, and then Barbara responds with that same phrase. And then the people in the workshop just join in. It just works.
Second line. Bella mama, yay. Bella mama, yay. Bella mama, bella mama, bella mama, bella mama, bella mama, bella mama, yay.
What we see with the participants, the people who come on the course, is that they'll make small changes. And it's those small changes that actually, in a daytime, over a day, can actually really build up and create some niggles for them, which might lead to frustrations and some anger and then guilt, and all of these emotions start spilling out. So it's these small changes that we're looking to help people identify. So we create a safe space. They can try out the techniques in the session, and then they can go away and try the techniques out and bring it back the following week and let us know how they've got on. Empowered Conversations for Carers is running across Greater Manchester. It's a free course for any family carers. So if you're interested in finding out about a local course, you can check out the website or give us a call.